The hippo, a giant that seems sluggish yet ranks among the most dangerous creatures in Africa, carries a massive body and a colossal mouth that can open up to 150 degrees, armed with razor-sharp teeth like deadly weapons. Though it often lies calmly submerged in rivers to escape the heat, when angered, the hippo can charge forward with shocking speed, enough to make even lions wary. As the king of the jungle approaches the riverbank, eyes locked coldly on its prey, the hippo suddenly surfaces, spraying water and opening its enormous jaws in a bold challenge. The showdown between the authority of the predator and the raw might of the lord of the swamp transforms the wilderness into a scene of fierce, ripping drama. By the forest watering hole, the hippo bellows fiercely, charging to drive away the intruder. Overwhelmed by such raw power, the lion flees in fear, surrendering the territory to the lord of the swamp. Beneath the calm river, 3 male lions carefully swim across to the other side. Suddenly, a massive hippo bursts up, charging forward with terrifying speed. Panicked by the ferocious giant, the lions frantically swim for their lives, scrambling onto the bank and fleeing, leaving the river to the hippo. On a rocky ledge by the river, a lion is dozing when it is suddenly spotted by a massive hippo. Without hesitation, the hippo charges forward, jaws wide open and menacing, startling the lion into leaping straight into the water to flee for its life. On the riverbank, a lone hippo is suddenly surrounded by a ferocious pride of lions. They rush in with relentless attacks, even leaping onto its back, pushing the hippo into a losing battle. In a desperate moment, it quickly turns and plunges straight into the river, escaping the claws of its predators. Across the vast plains, the elephant rises as nature's gentle giant, with its massive frame and extraordinary strength. Yet life in the wild is never free of danger. At times, elephant herds must face the most daring predators, the lions. These hunters often target vulnerable calves, but under the fierce protection of the mothers and the unity of the herd, lions are usually forced to retreat. The clash between elephants and lions not only reveals the harshness of nature, but also celebrates the majesty and resilience of these colossal creatures. On the desolate savanna, a mother elephant and her calf suddenly fall into the circle of a hungry lion pride. The predators creep closer, eyes locked on the tiny calf. Sensing the danger, the mother raises her trunk, swinging it fiercely, both warning and ready to strike. Faced with such power and determination, the lions retreat, allowing the mother and calf to escape unharmed. At the forest's edge, a pride of lions silently encircles a mother elephant and her calf, waiting for the chance to strike. Sensing the danger, the mother immediately steps forward, shielding her young. Each time a lion lunges, she swings her trunk with force, striking directly at the predator. With her strength and determination, the mother bravely holds her ground, forcing the pride to hesitate before the massive living wall. riverbank, a lone elephant finds itself surrounded by 14 fierce lions. They take turns charging, leaping onto its back in an attempt to overpower the giant prey. But with extraordinary strength, the elephant erupts in fury, tossing each attacker violently to the ground, striking back at every pounce and bite. After a fierce counter, dragging it into the raging current. The roar that follows, along with the suffocating struggle between two apex predators, reveals the brutal harshness of the wild. In the swamp at the forest's edge, a fierce battle erupts as lions and crocodiles fight over the carcass of a young deer. The crocodile snaps ferociously, its steel jaws clamping tight to hold the prey, but three lions work together, pulling with relentless force. After a tense struggle, the crocodile finally surrenders, slipping silently back into the water, leaving victory to the rulers of the land. On the riverbank, chaos erupts as a pride of lions clashes with 12 crocodiles over the carcass of a zebra. The crocodile's steel-like jaws clamp tightly onto the prey, dragging it deep into the water, leaving the lions helpless on the shore. But when the current pushes the zebra's body close to the bank, one daring lion lunges forward, snatching a portion of meat in the midst of the frenzy. The confrontation quickly turns the stretch of river into a brutal battlefield between two of Africa's most fearsome predators. At the edge of the silent forest, a young crocodile accidentally falls into the hunting sights of a hungry pride of lions. After a few testing strikes, the whole pride quickly coordinates, launching a fierce attack from multiple directions. Under the overwhelming force, the small crocodile is swiftly taken down and becomes a hearty meal for the kings of the jungle. With thick skin, sharp claws, and an unyielding spirit, they are ready to face predators many times their size. Even when confronted by the lion, the ruler of the grasslands, the honey badger shows no fear. There are moments when this little beast charges head-on, growling and striking back with its claws against the lion's ferocious pounce, forcing the great predator to retreat in surprise. Such encounters reveal that in the wild, true strength lies not only in size, but in grit and an unbreakable spirit. At the forest's edge, the small honey badger screamed in defiance, showing no fear before the lion. Seizing the moment as the predator lost focus, it darted into the forest, vanishing into the dense canopy, leaving the lion powerless and unable to catch up. On the sun-scorched, empty savanna, the small honey badger bravely growled in the face of the lion. The predator hesitated, forced to follow from a distance without daring to strike. At the edge of the desolate forest, the lion spotted a honey badger and immediately gave chase deep into the trees. But the nimble honey badger slipped away into the cover of the foliage, leaving the lion furious, yet unable to catch it. By the roadside, a lion stumbled upon a newborn honey badger left behind. He gently picked it up, but strangely, chose not to harm it. Instead, the lion quietly carried it away and set it down, sparing the tiny creature's life. On the dry savanna, 3 fierce lions joined forces to surround their prey, but the small honey badger, clever and quick, slipped free from the trap. It left the predators behind in utter frustration. The rhino, the armored giant of the savanna, always leaves a powerful impression with its massive frame and sharp horn. Most of the time it lives quietly, grazing and wandering alone. But when challenged, the rhino instantly transforms into a fearsome warrior. Surrounded by the ferocious pride of lions, it lowers its head and charges with its deadly horn, forcing even the proud predators to retreat. That moment of confrontation not only reveals the rhino's incredible strength, but also the raw drama between 2 mighty beasts. At the forest's edge, the pride of lions surrounds the rhino. Suddenly it lowers its head and charges forward, its sharp horn forcing the entire pride to retreat in fear, unwilling to attack. On the quiet savanna, a pride of lions surrounds the rhino, striking again and again, but stopped each time by its sharp horn. In the end, they can only back away, with none daring to charge any further. At the forest's edge, the pride of lions tightens their circle around the rhino. It fights with all its strength, lowering its head and thrusting its horn again and again at the predators. Spotting an opening, the rhino suddenly bolts straight into the forest, forcing the lions to give chase in a tense pursuit. At the edge of the forest, the rhino suddenly bursts out, its sharp horn tossing the lions aside. Overwhelmed by such raw power, the pride quickly scatters, leaving the territory for the rhino to claim. In the swamp, a rhino struggles to climb up to the bank when a pride of lions quickly closes in. The moment it sets foot on dry land, one lion leaps onto its back, but the rhino bucks hard and sends the predator crashing down. The pride keeps trying to attack, but the rhino's sharp horn makes them hesitate, unwilling to get too close. Seizing the chance, the rhino charges toward the forest and breaks free from the ambush. Under the scorching sun of the savannah, a pride of lions closes in on a massive rhino. They launch attack after attack with claws and bites, but the rhino fights back fiercely with its sharp horn. That resistance forces the lions to stay cautious. This struggle drags on, with neither side gaining the upper hand. At last, faced with the rhino's endurance, the lions are forced to retreat. On the vast savanna, a pride of lions suddenly runs into two massive rhinos. Without hesitation, they split up, surround their prey, and charge in with claws and sharp teeth. But the rhinos, enraged, strike back, lowering their heads and driving forward with their solid horns. Faced with such terrifying power, the lions can no longer hold their ferocity and are forced to flee in panic to save themselves. The jaguar, renowned for its flexible body, graceful strides, and masterful climbing skills, has long been seen as the stealth master of both jungle and savanna. In contrast to its solitary hunting nature, the jaguar sometimes faces harsh challenges from the wild, especially when encountering the ruler of the savanna, the lion. High in the branches, the jaguar safely enjoys its prize. Yet with a single slip, the lion below will seize the chance to snatch away the feast. Or out on the dry savanna, a sudden chase can turn the jaguar into the weaker one, forced to flee for safety. These confrontations vividly illustrate the clash between the lion's overwhelming power and the jaguar's agility and cunning, two icons of the wild. In the middle of the barren savanna, the jaguar suddenly comes face to face with a lion lying in wait by the rocky ledge. The moment it's spotted, the lion springs up and charges in fierce pursuit. But with its natural speed and agility, the jaguar darts up into the high branches. Hidden beneath the cool green grass, the jaguar sleeps soundly in the heart of the jungle. With heavy yet silent steps, the lion creeps closer, its fiery gaze fixed on bringing down its rival. Sensing danger closing in, the jaguar suddenly awakens, leaps to its feet, and darts up into the high branches. At the edge of the forest, a whole pride of lions suddenly storms in, filling the air with chaos and clouds of dust. Against their overwhelming strength and a flurry of relentless strikes like a raging storm, the jaguar fights back with agility but quickly runs out of energy. Within minutes, it collapses, forced to accept a bitter defeat before the power of the united lions. At the edge of the forest, the jaguar drags the deer it just brought down up into the tall tree, carefully securing it before enjoying its feast. But beneath the tree, a lion lies silently in wait, ready to steal the prize. In an instant, the lion charges forward and seizes the reward, turning it into its own meal. Above, the jaguar can only watch helplessly, surrendering its hard-earned effort to the stronger rival. On the rocky ledge, the jaguar was watching when suddenly a lion charged in to attack. After a fierce strike, the jaguar countered in a flash and quickly vanished into the deep forest. Elephants are the largest land animals, characterized by their massive size and magnificent tusks. They primarily live in the forests and savannas of Africa, being herbivores that feed on grasses and trees, and can travel great distances to find food. Elephants are highly intelligent and capable of forming strong bonds within their herds. Despite their superior size and strength, they can still face threats from lions, especially young or weak elephants. Lions usually hunt in prides, using ambush tactics to capture their prey. However, when facing a direct confrontation, elephants are not easily defeated. With their sharp tusks and overwhelming strength, elephants can overpower lions in battles. Lions typically avoid direct confrontation with adult elephants, choosing instead to target young or isolated elephants. The battles between elephants and lions not only showcase strength, but also serve as a testament to the harshness of the wild. As the lion pride approached, the elephant herd immediately sprang into action, forming a strong defense around the calf. The adult elephants raised their powerful tusks, remaining highly alert, ready to strike at any intruder. The lions recognized the strength of the elephant's unity, realizing there was no opportunity to attack. Every attempt was met with a fierce counterattack, and in the end, the lion pride was forced to retreat, giving up in the face of the elephant's resilience, driven out of their territory. The lion pride silently watched every movement of the calf and mother elephant, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Once they had lured the two elephants into a secluded area, the lions immediately charged and attacked. However, the mother elephant's protective instincts kicked in quickly. She fought fiercely, constantly defending her calf against each powerful strike from the lions. The lions, accustomed to the strength of other animals, could not handle the mother elephant's bravery and resilience. In the end, they were forced to retreat, fearing the power of a mother's love. The crocodile, a giant reptile ruling Africa's swamps and riverbanks, stands out with armor-like scales, razor-sharp teeth, and explosive power in every snap. Dubbed the hidden assassin, it waits patiently beneath still waters, striking only in the moment of surprise. And when it crosses paths with the lion, the ruler of the land, the encounter reaches a peak of tension. The thirsty pride approaches the riverbank, unaware of the silent shadow gliding below the surface. In the blink of an eye, the crocodile lunges, seizing a young lion and dragging it into the swirling current. The roars and thrashing clash of these two apex predators create a scene both fierce and a stark reminder of the wild's unforgiving nature. By the riverbank, as the pride of lions fed on their kill, a crocodile crept closer. The male lion roared thunderously, sending the reptile diving back into the water in fear. At the edge of the desolate forest, a young crocodile strayed into the sights of a hungry pride of lions. They quickly surrounded it, striking with probing swipes while the crocodile struggled, jaws gaping wide in a desperate threat display. But in the blink of an eye, the pride lunged all at once, clamping down from every side. Completely overwhelmed, the young crocodile stood no chance and soon became a feast for the predators. At night by the deserted riverbank, a crocodile was guarding its kill, when a lion crept in, intent on stealing it. Suddenly, the crocodile awoke, snapping its massive jaws wide, teeth glinting sharp. Startled, the lion panicked and quickly turned to flee. In the swamp by the forest's edge, a fierce struggle erupted as a pride of lions and a crocodile fought over a young deer's carcass. The crocodile's savage jaws clamped down to hold on, but 3 lions pulled with all their might. At last, they dragged the prey onto dry land. Defeated, the crocodile released its grip and slipped back into the water in frustration, conceding victory to the rulers of the land. Crocodiles aren't just a surprise threat, they're true rivals to lions. Both are top predators in their own territory and often cross paths near rivers or watering holes where they hunt. While lions dominate on land, the moment they step into the water, the advantage shifts. That's when the crocodile, silent, deadly, and built for ambush, becomes a danger no lion can ignore. What happens next is a rare sight caught on camera. A lion trying to cross the river is suddenly attacked by a crocodile. But this time, luck is on the lion's side. In a split-second fight for survival, it breaks free and races toward the shore. Escaping death by inches, the predator watches from the water, defeated and disappointed. By the quiet riverside, a pride of lions tears into a hippo carcass, breaking the silence with low growls and the sound of ripping flesh. In the distance, ripples begin to stir on the water, a sign that something is coming. A massive crocodile crawls onto the shore, its cold eyes locked on the water. And the risk of facing lions, but moves forward anyway. The ground seems to shake. The crocodile freezes and quickly turns back, surrendering the feast to the rulers of the land. Under the scorching midday sun, a pride of lions carefully makes its way across the river, heading toward new hunting grounds. They move slowly, alert to the danger beneath the surface where crocodiles often lurk. In the past, their caution kept them safe. But this time, fate had other plans. As the pride wades through the shallow water, a massive crocodile suddenly bursts from the riverbed, targeting the last lion in line. It all happens in a flash. Splashing water, roaring cries, and chaos spreading across the river. Two lions risk crossing the river in search of food, fully aware of the dangers lurking below. As they reach the middle, the water suddenly erupts. A massive crocodile bursts from the murky depths, jaws wide open, launching a surprise attack. One lion quickly turns to fight back, roaring and slashing with its claws. The underwater clash intensifies as the crocodile tries its signature death roll to bring the lion down. The lion struggles to stay upright, refusing to be dragged under. In the end, both lions manage to escape and reach the shore safely. The crocodile slips back into the water, leaving behind a silent warning for next time. The honey badger, small in size but carrying a rare grit, has long been known as the unyielding warrior of the African savanna. With its tough hide, sharp claws, and fearless spirit, It dares to confront predators many times its size. Even when facing the king of beasts, the honey badger is ready to snarl back, sometimes forcing the lion to back down. These encounters are clear proof that in the harsh wild, true strength is not measured by body alone, but by the unbreakable will and courage to never surrender. On a forest trail, a lion unexpectedly comes across a young honey badger. It gently grips it, but instead of unleashing the usual ruthless instinct, the lion quietly carries it off and then lets it go. In the harsh wilderness, that moment becomes something strange and full of surprise. At the edge of the dense forest, the small yet stubborn honey badger growls, showing no fear of the lion. The moment the predator lets its guard down, the badger bolts into the deep woods, vanishing among the thick foliage and leaving the lion roaring in frustration. In the scorched savanna, the small but fearless honey badger growls in defiance at the lion. Confronted with such stubborn bravery, the mighty predator wavers, only trailing behind without daring to strike. On the scorching savanna, 3 lions close in together. But with grit and agility, the small honey badger quickly finds a way to escape. The mighty predators are left roaring in helpless frustration. At the quiet forest edge, a powerful lion suddenly charges after a honey badger. But with speed and cunning, the badger slips into the thick undergrowth, leaving the lion roaring in frustration. The wildebeest, a familiar symbol of the African savanna, is known for its sturdy frame, strong curved horns, and instinct to migrate in massive herds. They often gather in groups of hundreds, even thousands, creating a majestic spectacle across the plains. Yet it is during these very journeys that wildebeests often become the prime targets of lions. When stalked, they rely on speed and the strength of their horns to fight back. At times, a courageous wildebeest has even struck back, sending a lion tumbling to the ground. These fierce encounters not only reveal the harshness of survival, but also highlight the indomitable spirit of this fearless wildebeest. On the sun-scorched savanna, the shadow of a lion stalks a young wildebeest separated from its herd. From behind, it suddenly charges, a powerful leap startling the prey, which is brought down before it can react. Razor-sharp jaws clamp onto the neck, holding tight until the wildebeest collapses. At once, the pride rushes in, their growls and the sound of tearing flesh echoing across the grasslands. In the silent forest, a herd of wildebeests migrates cautiously. Hidden behind the bushes, a lioness waits patiently, her eyes locked on the vulnerable calves. Suddenly, a male charges from behind, its lightning-fast rush cutting through the gap. Claws clamp down on a calf, sending the herd into chaos, their pounding hooves shaking the ground. The calf is thrown down, thrashing in pain and desperation, while the lion's jaws tighten, extinguishing every last hope of survival. By the swamp at the forest's edge, a young wildebeest struggles to climb ashore. Its weak legs sink into the mud as it thrashes in despair. From a distance, the lion has been watching, the predator's fiery gaze locked on its target. Suddenly, it storms down like a raging tempest, seizing the exhausted prey. Razor-sharp teeth sink deep into the neck, a fatal weak point. In an instant, the thrashing fades and the calf collapses, becoming the lion's feast. Beneath the green grass, a young wildebeest sleeps soundly, unaware of the danger nearby. Its scent drifts on the wind toward a male lion. The lion lowers its body and quietly creeps closer. Suddenly it pounces and seizes the calf. The wildebeest lets out a startled cry before being swiftly taken down. Behind a rocky outcrop at the forest's edge, a lion silently watches and creeps up behind a wildebeest. Once close enough, it suddenly charges, aiming straight for the prey's weak point. The attack happens so fast the wildebeest has no time to react, and within moments it is brought down and defeated. The monitor lizard, the giant reptile of the savanna, stands out with its solid body, whip-like tail, and jaws lined with sharp teeth. Though it usually hides and hunts small prey like birds, eggs, or rodents, when threatened it will lash its tail and strike with its claws to defend itself. At times, a monitor lizard may stumble into a confrontation with a lion. Against the mighty predator, it rears its body high, whipping its tail again and again in a desperate fight. Though it rarely escapes the lion's fangs, the moment still reveals the astonishing grit of this seemingly slow reptile. At the forest's edge, a monitor lizard suddenly finds itself surrounded by a pride of lions. One by one, the lions step forward to test it, swiping with their claws only to be met with the lizard's tail lashing back like a whip. Faced with those powerful strikes, the lions gradually lose their nerve, growling as they circle around, but none daring to risk another attack. At the edge of the deserted forest, a pride of lions is tearing into a freshly killed buffalo when they suddenly notice a monitor lizard hiding in the nearby grass. A few lions curiously approach, growling in warning, but as the lizard slowly makes its way toward the carcass, they unexpectedly retreat, slipping into the bushes to watch. In that moment, a strange scene unfolds, the mighty king of beasts quietly yielding before the arrival of a stubborn reptile. Wildebeests are herbivores that live in large herds across the African savanna. They stand out with their curved horns and impressive speed. Always alert and united, they often rely on each other to avoid predators. But when one gets separated from the group, it becomes an easy target for lions, skilled hunters known for their stealth and teamwork during ambush attacks. As the lion pride closes in, the wildebeest herd reacts fiercely, trying to push back the predators. But the power difference is too great. Panic quickly spreads and the herd scatters in all directions. In the chaos, one slower wildebeest is caught and taken down. With a single bite to a vital spot, the hunt ends, and the prey has no chance of survival. By the river, a herd of wildebeest cautiously makes its way across the dangerous waters. Not far away, lions lie hidden in the tall grass, watching every move. They wait patiently for a mistake. When a few calves fall behind, the moment arrives. One lion bursts forward like lightning and grabs a young wildebeest in seconds. Despite the prey's desperate struggle, it has no chance of escaping the predator's grip. The lion, symbol of power and strength on the savannah, is not only the ruler over other animals, but at times must also face its own kind. Clashes between lions often erupt when territory is invaded, or when a band of young males challenges the authority of the pride leader. In these confrontations, roars echo across the savannah, dust fills the air, and every strike and bite carries destructive force. The outcome is almost always the same. The victor claims dominance, while the defeated must flee or fall beneath the fangs of its kin. These brutal battles paint a vivid picture of the savage yet magnificent reality of life in the wild. Beneath a tree at the forest's edge, a lion feasts with its cubs on a fresh kill. Suddenly, from afar, another lion approaches silently with the intent to steal the prize. At once, the lion rises, roaring fiercely before charging back with every strike, defending its meal and keeping its cubs safe from the enemy's fangs. From beneath a tree on the blazing savannah, 4 lions suddenly burst out, launching a united attack on a lone lion, separated from its pride. Roars shake the air as dust swirls in thick clouds, each strike and bite making the ground tremble. The battle rages fiercely, merciless and unrelenting, every moment filled with raw power and brutality. Yet in the end, the struggle remains locked, with no clear victor. By the watering hole at the forest's edge, 2 male lions collide like giant machines. Powerful strikes and crushing bites echo as dust clouds rise. Fierce as a fight to the death, they battle not only for territory, but to decide who is worthy to rule and claim the lionesses. After the fiery clash, one falls, while the victor stands tall, asserting his absolute power over the savannah. At the forest's edge, 4 lions clash in a bloody battle for territory. Roars thunder through the air as clouds of dust rise, each strike and bite tearing apart the silence. Each one carries the burning desire for dominance, for territory means power, food, and the chance to pass on their bloodline. This fight reveals not only strength and courage, but also the brutal reality of the wild, where the victor stands tall and the defeated must endure pain and loss. The African buffalo is a giant of the savannah, defined by its solid frame and curved horns that serve as natural weapons. They live in massive herds, bound by unity and discipline, creating a collective strength few predators can overcome. But for that very reason, encounters with enemies like lions are always moments of high tension. Mid the tall grass, as the lions watch closely, a bull refuses to back down and charges fiercely, tossing its opponent aside with sharp horns. This clash not only reveals the ferocity of the wild, but also affirms the proud stature of the buffalo, a beast even the king of the beasts must respect. At the forest's edge, as the buffalo herd slowly made its way toward the waterhole, the stillness was suddenly shattered by the lightning-fast charge of lions from the brush. Their roars echoed, sending the herd into chaos, hooves pounding the dry earth in a frenzied stampede. The lions quickly split and coordinated, circling to target the young or the stragglers. One unlucky buffalo was dragged down, its pained bellows filling the air as it struggled to resist. But claws and fangs tightened with each strike. The fierce struggle lasted only moments before the prey collapsed, overcome by the ruthless power of the wild. In the desolate savanna, a pride of lions spotted a lone buffalo and immediately launched a coordinated attack. They leapt onto its back, biting and clawing from every side, driving the prey into despair with little chance to resist. But in a sudden turn, the rest of the buffalo herd charged in from behind, their pounding hooves shaking the ground. Overwhelmed by such power and unity, the lions hesitated, then retreated in fear, leaving the wounded buffalo rescued in the nick of time. On the empty green savanna, the scene suddenly erupted in chaos as a pride of lions launched a fierce chase after a buffalo. Golden bodies closed in, tightening the circle before leaping onto its back, trying to bring the prey down. But the buffalo, with its massive frame and unyielding strength, countered with powerful thrusts of its horns, pushing back each attack. Every struggle was a challenge, forcing the lion's ferocity to turn into caution. At last, with heavy breaths, the predators retreated into the grass, leaving behind the majestic image of a resilient buffalo standing tall in the wild. At the forest's edge, a lone lion suddenly found itself at a disadvantage when a buffalo attacked. With its sharp horns, the buffalo delivered relentless charges, driving the predator into desperation. The lion tried to snarl and fight back with the last of its strength, but the buffalo's overwhelming power soon brought it down. In this clash, the so-called king of the beasts suffered a crushing defeat before the unyielding might of the buffalo. On the dry grassland by the forest's edge, a pride of lions suddenly charged, surrounding a lone buffalo. Ferocious strikes from every side left the prey staggering in pain. Yet in its desperation, the buffalo fought back fiercely, thrusting its horns, and then, with the last of its strength, bolted into the forest's depths, breaking free from the circle of death. An unbelievable scene unfolded beneath a tree at the forest's edge. A lone lion was brutally attacked by 3 of its own kind, seemingly doomed to die. But then, in a startling twist, a herd of buffalo thundered in from afar, growling at the attackers and forcing them to flee. By sheer chance, the wounded lion was saved. The giraffe, the gentle giant of the savanna, stands out with its long neck reaching treetops to pluck tender leaves, a symbol of grace and tranquility in the wild. Yet hidden beneath that slender frame lies an astonishing reserve of strength. When ambushed by a pride of lions, the giraffe not only relies on its long legs to escape, but can also unleash thunderous kicks powerful enough to bring down a predator in an instant. The blend of elegant beauty and fierce survival instinct has made the giraffe one of the most majestic creatures of the African savanna. In the desolate savanna, a pride of lions lies in ambush, waiting for the moment to close the trap around a young giraffe. But instantly, the mother charges forward with courage, standing between her calf and danger, unleashing a flurry of powerful kicks that send dust flying. Confronted by such fierce resistance, the lions begin to falter, cautiously retreating, unwilling to risk moving any closer. In the thicket, a giraffe suddenly finds itself surrounded by a hungry pride of lions. From all directions, the predators charge at once, igniting a battle for survival. One fierce lion leaps high, sinking its jaws into the giraffe's back, only to be thrown off by a violent counterattack. Faced with overwhelming strength and relentless resistance, the pride hesitates, slowly retreating with caution, unwilling to risk pressing forward. Under the blazing sun of the savanna, a lion hides silently behind the bushes, its eyes locked on the towering giraffe. Waiting for the perfect moment, the pride bursts forward together, igniting a breathless chase. But with long legs and unmatched speed, the giraffe quickly breaks away, escaping the ambush in an instant. Exhausted and defeated, the lions are left to walk away in frustration after a failed hunt. On the vast savanna, a mother giraffe and her calf suddenly fall into the trap of a hungry lion pride. The predators immediately focus their attention on the young one, and with a lightning-fast strike, it collapses in an instant. The mother turns back to fight, bravely launching powerful kicks in defense of her calf. But under the relentless pressure of the pride, the circle tightens, forcing the mother into a desperate retreat, leaving her calf in the ruthless jaws of the hunters. The leopard, a solitary and silent hunter of the savanna, stands out with its graceful build, agile speed, and masterful climbing ability. Unlike lions that live in prides, leopards often hide in the brush or rest on branches, waiting for the perfect chance to strike their prey. Yet life in the wild is unforgiving, and the leopard's greatest challenger is the lion. Encounters between these two apex predators are often tense. The leopard relies on its agility to escape into the trees, while the lion, with its overwhelming strength, seeks to steal the kill. This rivalry paints a vivid picture of the harsh laws of survival on the plains. On the arid savanna, a leopard suddenly encounters a lion lying in wait beside a rocky outcrop. In an instant, the lion springs up and charges in pursuit, but with its natural agility, the leopard leaps swiftly onto a high tree branch, escaping unharmed. Beneath the green grass, a leopard lies fast asleep as a lion quietly approaches. Sensing the danger, it instantly springs up and darts onto a high tree branch, escaping disaster by a hair's breadth. At the forest's edge, a pride of lions suddenly bursts out, unleashing chaos as dust clouds rise into the air. Against the overwhelming force and relentless pounces, the leopard struggles to fight back. But its agile body soon grows weary. In just moments, it collapses, meeting a bitter defeat at the paws of the pride. High in the tree, a leopard carefully works over the antelope it has just taken down, savoring its prize safely on the branch. But below, a lion silently lurks, waiting to steal the meal. Suddenly, the carcass slips from the branch and falls to the ground, and in an instant, the lion seizes the opportunity, claiming the feast. From above, the leopard can only watch helplessly, surrendering its prize to the stronger rival. On the rocky ledge, a leopard quietly surveys the land when suddenly a lion charges up from below, striking with a fierce pounce that sends it crashing down. Caught off guard, the leopard responds with a lightning-fast counterattack before darting swiftly into the depths of the forest. The African wild dog is a master predator of the savanna, renowned for its speed, endurance, and rare spirit of unity. Living in large packs, they coordinate seamlessly in every hunt, making it nearly impossible for even big prey to escape. Yet when facing the lion, the undisputed ruler of the land, the difference in power becomes strikingly clear. At times, a pack feasts on a kill only to be scattered in chaos as a lion arrives, its roar echoing with dominance. But there are also moments when they dare to return, circling and snapping, launching sudden attacks that set the stage for a breathtaking showdown between collective cunning and the lone might of the lion. At the forest's edge, a lion suddenly spotted a lone African wild dog, and in an instant pounced, seizing its prey in the blink of an eye. The desperate cries drew the pack rushing from afar, trying to save their companion. But against the lion's overwhelming power, it roared fiercely, clenching the victim tight in its iron jaw. The wild dogs could only snarl helplessly, not daring to take another step closer. At the forest's edge, a pack of African wild dogs surrounded a lioness and her cub. The mother fought desperately, dust rising in a furious storm. But in the chaos, the cub was lost. Though she roared in search, her little one was nowhere to be found.
Fighting.
On the barren desert, a lion approached the waterhole guarded by a pack of wild dogs. With its regal stride and thunderous roar, it immediately asserted dominance, forcing the pack to retreat in fear. In moments, the waterhole became the lion's territory, while the wild dogs could only watch from a distance, too afraid to come closer. The African wild dog, a master hunter of the savanna, stands out with its speed, remarkable endurance, and rare spirit of unity. They live in large packs, working in perfect coordination with every strike, making it hard even for big prey to escape. Yet against the lion, the absolute ruler of the grasslands, the gap in strength is undeniable. At times, when the pack is feasting, just a single fierce roar from the lion can send them scattering in panic. But often they bravely turn back, surrounding and biting relentlessly to harass, creating tense confrontations where collective intelligence clashes with the lone power of the king of beasts. At the forest's edge, a lion suddenly spots a stray wild dog and charges in, taking it down in an instant. A desperate cry echoes, drawing the entire pack rushing in from afar to attempt a rescue. But faced with the lion's dominance, its thunderous roar and iron bite force the pack to growl helplessly at a distance, none daring to risk getting closer. At the forest's edge, a pack of